Let's actually starting Tai Chi Harmony. So allow your feet to touch. Then bring your head top up to the highest point. Then relax your shoulders, relax your tailbone. Bring your hands together in the center. And then, instead of evaluating all the individual points, just imagine your body as one piece, like it's one piece of grass or one blade of grass, or if you know how a bamboo grows, it's just one piece. And so, feel the connection of your feet onto the ground. Grip your toes, activate the whole bottom surface of your foot as if you have suction cups to connect you to the ground. And then feel the full perimeter of your feet, whether it's a square shape, and then we're going to turn just in a small circle. So, like more keeping your body in line, think of a blade of grass or a bamboo. So as if I'm rooted at the center and I want to turn around my base. So good morning, welcome. We're just starting in Tai Chi Harmony, and we're practicing this exercise where if you root your feet and you connect to the ground, and then you make your body, I don't want to use the word rigid, but as if it's one solid piece of grass and the wind is blowing, you can make it just like a circle. So the root is connected. And so while you're turning in this circle, stretch. So pushing up through the head top. Keep your feet active, connected to the ground. If you change directions, change because I'm going the other way. And the stretch is, if it's just one blade of grass, it's growing. Have the feeling of growing. So we said internally and externally. Change directions and see if you can work out the shape of the Tai Chi symbol. So turning along the S shape, reversing the circle. Or you can just turn a circle. But externally what's happening is, by using the feet to push into the ground, even though the hands are resting, they're relaxed, there's a space. We have the feeling like we're pushing upwards, up through the center, right? The tendons and muscles, like we're using power to push up, like a rocket ship taking off this way, right? Going in one direction. But then internally, the more we relax, the easier it is to extend those things. But also internally, we have energy going up through the center. So we don't want the external to be too tight. We still want to feel like we're expanding, like we're stretching upwards. Relax your collarbones, your shoulder blades, so that the feeling is that we can stretch the whole thing with just one activity, with just one posture. And that's externally. Stretching upwards. So internally as well, your feet connected to the earth. You may feel some different types of sensations coming up through the center, up through the spine. through the center rear of the body, coming up to the top. You can change directions. If you're just making circles, do a few. Make the breathing match the idea. By the way, if you start to get pain, if you feel something in your neck, your back, and it feels like, wow, I'm stretching, but somehow it feels tight or sore, take a break for a second. Relax your shoulders. There's too much of this kind of thing. And then return. Allow your feet to touch. And then you can open them for this kind of exercise. Too far open, and you try to turn, and it feels unbalanced. Closed may feel balanced. Opening 15 degrees, 20 degrees on either side. And then sink your tailbone. Breathe deep. Let your shoulders relax. And then focus on your center line. Imagine if you were one single blade of grass. Just pushing up through the center, turning. So root your feet. You may even feel when you start to turn, you can form the circle in the way that your feet connect to the ground, how much pressure you apply to control where your center is. So still expanding upwards. Try to feel all of these things at the same time. The circle in your feet, keeping your feet rooted, expanding externally up through the centers by extending your muscles, your tendons, allowing the space between the joints to expand physically. Now internally feeling the chi moving up through the center. You may feel it in your spine, you may feel it in the geometric center of the body. Change directions. Relax your shoulders more. Stretching up through the center. And then if you like to be fancy, instead of just turning a circle, if we look from the top down, we're making a circle. Try to make either a figure 8, or if you draw the Tai Chi symbol, you make a loop, it circles back, the other circle's going the other way. The yin and yang, this way. But sometimes making this movement requires some control. You feel the tendons in your leg activating, right? So sometimes just to get back to the basic, just making the circle. When you're changing shape, changing direction, making this figure, it may be too complex. So bring it back to expanding. Make your breathing relax. Then internally feel the chi too. Imagine the same way a bamboo or a blade of grass, the energy from the earth comes up, goes through the root, and goes all the way up to the stem. And this is how a blade of grass grows. I don't know much about different grasses, but there's different kinds, even the very common variety. Sometimes the blades have, they're not just an individual blade, they have another part of the grass that comes out of it. But in this case, just imagine a single blade growing vertically. Change directions if you haven't. Come back to the center. start with some Qigong. So, with that same sort of speed, the same idea of expanding through the center, let's do some breathing and grip your feet to the ground when you pull your hands up and extend, reaching. Have the same feeling of growing, stretching, expanding the energy all the way up through your fingertips. Level your head so that your spine is straight. Lifting. There's one text that talks about using the body and the movement like a bellows. And for anybody watching on YouTube that doesn't know what a bellows is, this is the keep breathing, keep moving, keep doing the movement. But it's a type of, I guess, box. It has a name because it's a weird thing. It has an accordion back, and it has an opening on the end, and you use it to stoke a fire. You use it to shoot air. And so this existed it's interesting. I don't know if the bellows existed in Chinese culture, but I believe the Germans were the first to translate some of the text referring to this kind of stuff, and they refer to it as a bellows. So the same idea, your arms, your hands moving when you reach. Feel the accordion sides of your ribs open. So just like we were doing a second ago, stretching the whole body using one simple movement, we're doing the same thing. So reach all the way. Feel your spine, the vertebrae, each one of them expanding. The joints are where we have cartilage. Cartilage is soft. And as we age, cartilage can become very hard. So it's easier to maintain healthy cartilage with just gentle, slow, gentle movement like Tai Chi than it is to repair it if it becomes hard and brittle. So really feel each of your joints, your wrist, your elbow, your shoulders, but then more than the joints, while you keep breathing, more than each of the joints, the connectors, where your ribs connect to your sternum, right here, right around your heart chakra. There's cartilage where that sternum is in the center, like a breastplate. Where each of those ribs connect, there's cartilage. Feel all of that expand. In some places, the ribs go this way, and where they intercross, each of those, where the bones connect, there's cartilage. So keeping your torso flexible. And we can use very simple, very slow, gentle movement. By stretching, relaxed. You have cartilage in your elbow, in your wrist, and in your fingertips as well. So I'm talking about stretching the core. Your hips, knees have cartilage all the way down to the fingertips when you stretch. My teacher would say power to the fingertips. And he's talking about, this is regular hand, is extending, right? Is putting power as if it's going out, and even you can start to curl the last fingertip because there's power. Stretching. And remember, this is Tai Chi, so is it internal stretch, is it external stretch? It's both. So we're looking to physically expand the space between the cartilage, let the tendons relax, and then send the energy out to cause the tendons to expand. And when we say expand, we want to say lengthen, but we can also think of them If there's damage, a tendon is weak, it's been reduced in size to wear and tear, it's been partially cut, we can imagine those filling out to be the correct diameter, to be the normalized through their length. So externally we're stretching, internally sending power. The whole time breathing, it matches your movement. You can go at your own pace, but stretch all the way, reaching all the way up your spine to the sides. An important note, by the way, for everybody doing this one, when you reach all the way up, don't do this. We want to have the feet firmly rooted and the tailbone sunk. Keep breathing, keep working. I'm just going to talk while we breathe. For teacher training, for people that are, there's people working on teaching, this is an important note. Some people may only practice Tai Chi one time a week, so even when explaining Tai Chi principles, keep them moving, right? This is you may have very great ideas about Tai Chi, but if we just stand around and talk, we have a lecture and not a Tai Chi class. So always keep moving. So the important note I said earlier for this stretch is when we reach, don't lift, don't let your energy come out of the earth. Keep your feet rooted. And even when you're stretching here, I don't know if you can see it, I don't know what's on camera, but don't have your tailbone float up as well. In fact, when you stretch the upper body, push your tailbone down. It's sinking here, and then breathing, inflate, and then here, don't float up. Sink your tailbone with your feet, and really do the same stretch. And then here, reaching all the way out to the sides as far as you can. Just 3 more. Same breathing, same internal feeling of growing. How many remember the feeling when they were growing up? Some people's bodies change very physically, and they can experience what's referred to as growing pains. So this is returning the body to the state where it can grow. Is that 3? It was for me. When you finish, bring everything back to the center for Tai Chi. Now I'll do a calibration. Everything this morning has been using the body as one piece, but now let's go through. Check your crown chakra and feel like it's going up to its highest point. Don't lift your toes, don't lift your tailbone, just as if that one point is going up. And then check your brow. Can you relax your vision? Open your eyes real big, wiggle your eyebrows, right? Relax the lower part of your face. I call it relaxing your jaw. But the meridians for the stomach start actually up around under the eyes, and they come down like draining through this way. Kind of the same way the digestive tract does. So allow all of that to relax and open. And we're keeping the tongue connected to the upper palate. Corners of the nose are open. So open your nostrils and internally open your sinuses so that there's no bottlenecks, so that there's nothing that's too relaxed on the inside. Breathing deep. Corners of the mouth are activated. So my teacher would say half smile. The chin is tucked. And then pull your ears back to line up with your over top of this section, your shoulders this way. Make sure the energy is still going to the head top. Relax your shoulders. The space in the armpit is there so the energy can move. The insides of the elbows are relaxed. Wrists are relaxed. The palms in this particular posture gently touching. And then in the correct posture, they may touch your torso. You may see a lot of people doing this kind of stuff in the beginning. Just allow everything to relax. Allow your shoulders to expand. The center, when we say center, you can think of it as the abdominal muscles. But you can also think of it as the very center. If you're a tree and the center of the tree, either way, whether you're thinking of this, the center is supporting. And that means the back can expand. Most of the time, we have something happening here with the tailbone going back. So we want to allow that to be in the most natural sort of position. And that means the insides of the hips are folded. We don't want to have the tailbone relaxed and have the front facing forward this way, right? It's, come on, it's got to be good for a laugh. And somebody, at least a smile. You know? You got to do more. We're Calvin. Let's go back, head top. Relax the brow, face, vision, nostrils, corners. Tuck the jaw. Knees like shoulders roll back and relax. Expand the inside of the armpit, the inside of the elbow, in the crease in the wrist. Allow those joints, those connections to expand. The chest is, in the Tai Chi Classics, it says the chest is hollow. What does that mean? It simply means it's not pushing up this way. You just allow it to relax. This may create a feeling of brownness and back. Like we just said, use the center, whether that's in the Western world, the core is the abdominal muscles here, or the center of self, like a tree ring, the very center. That's what's supporting, right? Internally, we have the feeling of the strong center line, but we also externally can use this part of our center as a structural support so that we can take a deep breath and allow the diaphragm to expand down to the kidneys, which that can still happen if the tailbone is up. But when the tailbone is down and we're not using the spine stacked like Oreo cookies, we have instead the center. This can expand, the diaphragm expands down with a full breathing. And then again, where we got hung up a second ago, is the insides of the hips are folding so that the pelvis is in the correct place. It's not tilted forward, backwards. And especially with leg injuries, we don't want it tilted higher or lower on the side of the other as well. So become aware of that. Knees have a light bend in them. Feel that your ankles, I use the term expanding, but you can think of that, that you have like a sort of a circle here on it's like a knot on the other side. Imagine just like a knot, that tightening it. So making the tendons, the points that connect to it coming down from the leg to connect to that junction, and the points that go out of it going to the foot from that junction, like as if all of those are ropes going to rigging on a ship, and you can just turning that, I don't know, is it the size of a tennis ball, a racquetball, golf ball maybe for somebody with a smaller stature. This, as if locking the ankle. You can think of expanding. And then continuing down, pull your heel in, pull the outsides of the foot in, pull your toes back. And then we want to have the arch of the foot. So this section right through here, if you can lift it, right? You may even change the shape of your foot. I don't know if you can see what's happening. Change this by activating that and pulling that arch up. So it may feel like, the feeling maybe like this hand is where if you do this, you have this open shape. And so externally, if you're activating the foot, internally you want to be drawing the chi up the inside from that arch, right? Just like an aqueduct, right? If you've ever Roman aqueducts, they have these great stone arches. So the same thing, this is where the kidney meridian, the energy for the water channel comes up on the inseam of the leg and comes up to the center, and then we draw it up the center line. Let's do a little bit of stretching. Before we do, anyone have questions, thoughts, ideas? We start this morning. Okay. Let's start with the head top. And I got some good feedback. I think, did we do tapping a couple weeks ago? We're going to start with some massage at the top. So starting as if you're parting your hair in the center, take your fingertips and just push into your scalp. Try to see if you can make your fingertips, just the very pads of your fingers, sensitive enough to feel the difference between your skin layer, where the hair follicles are. There's fascia, which is the layer that's underneath, and then there's another connective layer to your head top. And just spend some time working around the center, around the crown chakra, like you're making a circle that goes right around the top of the center. And this is like a Kung Fu power grip, right? Like they talk about eagle claw or tiger palm is using the power in the fingertips. And then work your way out. So if we do a circle around the top, around the crown, work your way out, and you can make bigger movement, right? And you can tap. That's one effective way. But in this one, I want you to, like you're pressing into the surface, and you're using power to really mash the skin on top of your skull. I know that we've done tapping in the past, and I think last week we focused on individual points. I want you to sort of imagine you have a fruit or a vegetable, and it's been cooked or steamed, and you just want to get the skin, right? The inside of it is maybe still firm. So I don't have a good example of it yet, so just dig your fingertips into your skull. You may feel when this is your warm-up, this is your exercise, you're getting in shape for Tai Chi. So where it feels, you may feel, oh, that spot over there. Work on that spot. Try to hit the whole, each hemisphere, try to do each side. But if there's one spot, you may notice you can work on that more. It may be a little bit painful to start. Later, that area will relax, the energy can move through. And then come back to the center. And we're going to take one hand, put it across, reach for the ear, and then extending the arm, looking out over the shoulder. Try to line up your thumb, wrist, elbow, and nose on this side. And don't let the elbow hang out back here. Pull in line with the rest. And then the same as the very first exercise, right? So keep stretching, keep breathing, like the blade of grass extending through the center. Right? Yeah, you can relax on your own. You can time it with the breathing, but you don't have to. The most important thing is the center line. So when you reach across, and I'm actually using my ear like a grip, and then pull the elbow out so that it's not facing this way, and extend the arm. And the same thing, pushing up through the center. Keep your chin tucked, reaching out. Yeah. Remember to breathe. You can relax on your own. And then next, to continue with the turning, we're going to go back to Tai Chi Harmony. So allow your feet to touch. Bring your hands together. Push your head tight. Relax your tailbone. Right? This is the idea that we just talked about using the center, expanding the lower back, having the hips, pelvis, quad area all lined up and correct. And then from here, we're turning. So grip your feet. Lock from your hips down is not moving. Right? So only my spine is turning. Protect your hips, knees, and ankles. Don't turn. Center. You can time it with the breathing. You don't have to. Make it a stretch. This is a great way to open up the torso. So lock the corner of that opposite hip in place, and then pushing up through the head top, turning. And then these next ones, try to extend your turn. So don't turn the lower body, but continue turning your neck, your head, and then looking just a little bit further. And then even where you can't see beyond your vision, put your mind to what's over there, and then come back to the center. So by the way, this is all very relaxed. Don't have, the shoulders aren't all tight and tense. Try to keep them relaxed and to the side. We can actually use the hands on the sternum as a gauge to make sure that we stay relaxed. Come back to the center. So next, we're going to do some turning. So while we're doing this, I want you to think about your structure. So make your feet parallel. Your knees are pretty much over top of your feet. And your tailbone, you can sort of sit back on this one. We have this strong center post. So we can think about the same exercise, the feeling of growing up through the center. And then just allowing the arms to turn around the side. So get back into the same deep breathing that we started with. And then doing the same exercise with the focus on the cartilage. Feel all of your joints. So keep working, keep turning. As you keep moving, imagine that your hip, from the hips down, it doesn't move. It's like a pedestal or a platform or a table from here down. It's stable. And then above that, we have a center post like an axle, and we have turning around it all of this stuff. And so when you do this, the same thing, get in touch with your rib cage. Feel where your collarbones connect. Feel your shoulder blades. Feel your spine. If we looked from the very top down of the spine this way, it actually sits behind the center line. So imagine how the spine turns around the center. And then breathing deep. You can allow all that. And then there's a cutoff point, which is the chin, the jaw. It's from here, my head top is stable. I don't want the vibration going up into my head, and I also don't want to be turning. There may be some exercises where we turn the head. In this one, we're locking it. The same with the hips and the jaw facing the same direction. Everything else turning center. So come back to the center, relax, take a deep breath. We're going to do a little bit of folding. So this is, by the way, for people practicing yoga, like some kind of like weird no-hand version of downward facing dog. Because the goal for this one is I want people to not only stretch the back of their legs and open their back, but also have the energy moving in that way. So if you know some yoga, you can have that in your mind. Otherwise, just grip the ground, push your tailbone back and away from your center. Relax your spine, your arms, your shoulders, your head top, and really let gravity do its work. So pull your tailbone higher. For probably many people, the fingers touching the ground, you can rock them forwards or backwards. Just remember to breathe while you're... and then when you're ready, grip the ground and inflate all the way to a full, deep breath, and then relax. We're going to do one more of those. Here's the thing, you should feel a little bit of a head rush, right? Unless you've been practicing some type of inversions, before class or before doing this, you're going to feel something. It's a good thing. If you're teaching, when you teach, you have to watch people that are participating, and make sure. This is one of the reasons I really recommend locking the feet to the ground so there's not too much energy on top. Let's do that again, and then we're going to practice something new. So grip the toes, push the tailbone back and away, relax the spine, shoulders, arms, head, top. And while you're upside down, remember to breathe. So fully release the head so that it's pointing to the ground with gravity. And see if you can relax your back and your arms enough to feel the energy, the blood moving with the direction of gravity. And then when you're ready, grip the ground. Activate your tailbone, lifting the base of the torso, inflating all the way. Full expansion to the top, segmented breathing, and so this sort of hitting exercise, we see it in this particular Dao Yin. I know another one that does the same thing, and we're going to practice that today. In fact, we're going to do it right now. And it's very much like at the beginning of our classes, we do this kind of breathing where we're breathing up this way and turning. It's very similar. It's almost the same as the first moving Qigong that we did today. Not the bamboo, but the next basic warm-up Qigong, energizing Qigong. And so I'm going to face in this direction first. I'm going to do a few of them, and then we're going to practice. So I'll face this direction, and I'll just do the upper body. So as if we're lifting, and then when the hands get up to the center, they're going to cross facing outwards, and we're going to release the hands. They're going to turn palms up to hit the same place we just did a second ago on the sides this way. And so now the same, we're going to lift here, and then as it comes up to the center, we're crossing the hands. Doesn't matter. If we do this in succession, we're just going to change left and right, right and left. And then allow the hands to go to the side. So breathing.
Are you trying to get the backs of the hands to hit the sides of the hands?
That's correct. Right? So up closer is here. My palms change over to my head top. And then as the hands come down, the backs of the hands are hitting. Right? And so...
But you're not turning that much because mine won't just like a shot with the side of me.
Let me see what you can do, right? So because here's the thing, we want to be able to get the momentum to do it. And this exercise, by the way, is designed to do exactly what you're not able to do. It's because even right now, just in my natural state, I can't even reach my thigh. If I turn my shoulder out and my elbow out and my wrist and palm out so that if everything's on a grid, remember I'm used to aligning everything accurately. So if it's lined up here, I can't even get my back of my hand to my thigh. I can't even get close, right? There's that much distance between my hand and my thigh. So the only way to do that is get that overlap. And where that ends up coming out of is the hands and shoulders. Right? So this one's coming from Wong High, and this is from the Pigwa warm-up exercise. I happen to really like it, and we do a couple of exercises where we're touching this spot on the gallbladder, and this one will help with exactly what you need is opening this stuff here. And it's called removes the shirt, right? Removing the shirt. So if I face in this direction, I scoop up. When I turn my hands, they palm up this way, and then I want to unwind and allow them to fall into place. And so the pivot point really is the center. It's not the arm here, right? If I just move this like that's why people have joint problems. They're trying to lift something just with their arm. But my arm actually starts from the pec and goes out through the shoulder this way. So when this is turning from the center. Just put your arms out to the side. And imagine the pivot is the shoulder, just the arms move. It's difficult. But now imagine the pivot is the center. And so that's the part we have of our arms. Our culture, our society, we don't really use the arm in that way. But once you do some exercise to open that up, you can start to have a different kind of structure, start to have different kind of power. So this breathing, turning up, over, out. So inhale, turn. So full breathing, full qigong. So is this internal, external exercise? We can do it very, very slow like a qigong. And then for the very one moment there's an impact. And so what we're looking for is hitting just the direct side of the legs. Just the same thing a second ago when we do these, and we breathe all the way up. And on those I just do palm forward, right? But on these, and like you hitting directly on the side, it may be easier to start to go to the back, right? To start to move towards this direction type of thing. And then how do you feel through here? By the way, then that is for Tika, that is also the next exercise. So this is focused on this stuff here. Is the next one is if we take a square step, right? If we take shoulder width wide and go shoulder width deep. And then earlier we did the exercise like a bamboo. But in this one, I want you to practice moving between your rear foot and your front foot. Grip the foot, grip this foot, grip. So I'm doing with my hands what I'm doing with my feet. So practice shifting back and forth between the two. And then we're going to add the arms. And they're opposite. So when we shift forward, the hands are back. And then when we shift backwards, the hands are forward. So make your center line straight. And then you can push off the rear foot to gain the momentum. Now, keep working, keep practicing. The hands touching in the back is not a requirement. Some people's structure is there. But this basic movement is, I know we did this I know we've done this in Westwood quite a bit, because the analogy that I use is like, imagine you have a fence post, and it's buried in the dirt, it's buried in the sand, and you want to take the fence post and rock it, shake it to move the sand off the base. We can think of the same analogy with the spine. So we're shifting doing this. When the arms are turning this way, we want to keep the spine straight. This is just to open all of this tissue here in the front. And then the same thing in the back. When it goes here in the front, the arms can go all the way to cross over that way. I don't know that I would hit them in the front this way. I don't know what kind of impact damage that would have on the joints. I would allow them to relax and wrap all the way around. But you could just allow them to free float, both this in the front and the back. If I just try it naturally, I can't reach my hands together in the back. But if I get some momentum behind it, and the idea is keeping them flat. So if you've ever seen any qigongs that hitting the back of the hands together like this, that's the same feeling, right? And the other thing too is that's easier when it's lower. So if I try to keep my hands in an arc up here, difficult, can't do it. But if I allow them to connect lower down here, much easier, right? Take a few practices to. And here's the thing, for this one, maybe the rhythm, most important, is getting the feeling of your torso moving forward while your shoulders are moving back. You don't have to use a lot of power, right? You can do it pretty relaxed and still open stuff up. And that's, by the way, the motto is safety first, right? All the time. If your practice injures you, what kind of practice is that? It's not. You can't be getting injured. So we need to practice within our limits. By the way, this is one translation of Tai Chi. When we talk about Tai Chi, while we talk, let's do some hip circles. So, by the way, all of that stuff that we just got done doing, we started with the head. Then we turned the neck, turning the torso, doing this one, right? Bending forward. Next, we're continuing working our way down the body. So, do some hip circles. Remember the breathing that we started with. Change directions. And then remember there's an internal and an external stretch. Feel the tendons. Change directions if you haven't already. And as you turn, imagine that you can feel all of the connecting tissue all the way around, and see if you can make your stretch connect all the way down to the foot. For me, I think about keeping the upper body straight to act as a binding or winding object. And then bring your hands together, your feet together. Take your hands, hold them together till they feel warm. When they feel warm, put them on your knees and practice transferring the energy from your hands. You can make a different shape with your hands. Remember to breathe, and then gripping your feet, we're going to do the same thing. So rub your hands together. And then the same type of exercise we did earlier. Put your mind inside of your knee. Imagine your cartilage. Imagine the tendons. And imagine that you can allow all of that to relax and expand. We have a lot of impact on our knees. And so and then next, whether you balance or whether you use something to assist in the balance, grip the foot, pushing the toes out, pulling the toes back. And the same thing we had talked about the ankle before. Imagine the ankle as a knot between all of the ropes that go below to the foot and all of them that connect up to the knee. And so keep that flexed, engaged. Extending the toe, push the energy past the toes, power to the toes. Change on the other side with the ground. You can use something for balance. The same thing, lock the ankle. So push past the toes. Take a deep breath. Alright, I want to do some Tai Chi. I'd like to do first, second, third section just so we can say that we have done the form. And then I had a plan today to talk about some Tai Chi theory. And maybe we can talk about that a little bit while we do some standing preparation for the form. So let's actually do that. We'll do the form in a second. Make your feet shoulder width wide, and make them wider than the shoulders than the inside of the foot here. And then sink your tailbone back, push your head top up. Relax your shoulders. And then, as if you're holding something. Beach ball, one of the small yoga balls. You can think about a tree. You can make a container of your favorite. If you like coffee in the morning, you can make a gigantic thing of coffee. So, and then while you're standing like this, have the feeling of the inside of your hands, the inside of your forearms, and even up into the bicep, that whatever this invisible thing is that you're holding is actually supporting your arms, and that you can allow your tailbone to sink back. So feel as if there's an invisible structure there. Grip your toes. And then can you line up your hips, make sure that they're not crooked this way here, and make sure that they're not tilted forward or back. And then also, if we look from the top, we want to make sure they're not left or right. So there's 3 axes. So what we study and what I'm teaching, I teach 2 things, they're kind of the same thing. I'm teaching Tai Chi, but I'm teaching Tai Chi through an idea called Tai Chi Chuan. And Chuan is my attempt to pronounce some Mandarin language, but Chuan, the literal translation is fist, like this, like if I make this fist. So, what is Tai Chi? Tai Chi sometimes is translated as the Supreme Ultimate. And people like to make different translations of it. But I'm using Supreme Ultimate just for the sake of ease, is the study of the highest concept of whatever the subject material it is. And so Tai Chi Chuan means Supreme Ultimate Fist, Supreme Ultimate Boxing, Supreme Ultimate Self-Defense. We can look at it in those terms. Chuan means fist, so even if we're not boxers, we would defend ourselves against somebody using a fist. And so we want to reach the apex. We want to reach the Supreme Ultimate. We want to find out what it is to go to that level. And everything that in Tai Chi is based off of the yin yang. Well, Tai Chi Chuan. Tai Chi is the same. So if we take away the Chuan, Tai Chi Chuan is a subset of Tai Chi. Tai Chi can encompass anything. You can have Tai Chi chess. And I'm not a chess player. It's a little bit rigid. But using Tai Chi ideas, avoid, make contact. You can find this in chess strategy online. I do see some chess application, and you can have anything with Tai Chi. Tai Chi surfing. The Tai Chi of cooking. Tai Chi of cooking what? You can make it very specific. So for students that aren't interested to learn the Tai Chi form, when we say Tai Chi form, we're talking about Tai Chi Chuan. It's not required that you learn the self-defense form. A lot of times the Tao is teaching Tai Chi Chuan first, because if you're not in a place where you can defend yourself, the mind is very scared, right? If you don't have the ability to defend at least your personal space, your personal body, and your idea if you need to go to a place. So learning self-defense is sort of a gateway, but it's not required. Some people not interested to learn 155 postures of a classical form. These longer forms don't exist. Look in Los Angeles where you can find a long form. There's only a few places out openly teaching them. And so you don't have, and you don't have to learn it. Keep your mind, while I'm talking, by the way, keep your mind inside of your structure. So breathing, we're lifting the base of the torso. And if you really like to concentrate, you can just put your perception entirely into the dantian. So we use Tai Chi Chuan to teach Tai Chi. Once you understand the goal is to reach the apex of the topic at hand, you can start to apply Tai Chi ideas. The idea of balance, the idea of yin and yang, to any other concept. And as for the form, you may simply practice the first section. It's about 24 postures. That's like the 24, very famous style coming from China, 24 form. But if you like to learn the rest of it, you have to practice. You have to make it your own. You don't have to practice the form the same way that I do. Perhaps you can practice better than I can. You don't have to practice the same postures. As long as you apply the Tai Chi ideas. Remember, we said my teacher did plane with his feet connected this way. He understood the trigrams show the feet separated. So instead of keeping them flat, he lifted one to show the difference. And I separated them this way. He said, I don't like that. And I said, why? He said, because I don't like how it looks. It's correct. You can do something correct. But I want you to practice. I want you to understand the form your way. Okay, let's start. Let's do some Tai Chi. Bring your feet together. Bring your hands together. Keep your mind in the center. And before we start, take a deep breath. Open your feet shoulder width wide. Sink your tailbone. Send power all the way beyond the fingertips. Feel the joints in your hands expand. Breathing, grasp the sparrow's tail. Step forward. Forward off. Breathing. Left grasp the sparrow's tail. Square step. Right. Breathe deep. Turn the feet. Right. Left. Join the palms together. Turning back to the north. Left. Right. Press. Breathing deep. This is push. Shift back. Look left. Glance. Right. Schwung. Double press. From the corner to the corner. Horizontal. Split hands. Hook. Square step. Single. The arms relax to place for T-Sol Sanshi. Lift hands up. Posture. Square step. Roll the hands up. I'm turned a little bit to the side so you can see more clear. Otherwise, it should be directly in line. Always using the grid and the directions to help you align your movements. Square step. This is crane, opening the wings. Soe, peacock. Brush knee. Press to the center. Square step. Back. This is crane. Play hard. Turn my shoulders, I'm still facing forward. Low Shi, outward, punch on. This is, I'm sorry, I'm doing the long form. So if you've been practicing on for some time, Yes. And there's another one of those. Brush knee. C step. Press to the center. This is holding the moon. Chest. On one shui, we're going to do 3 times. So this goes to the point. Line is parry. Square step. Turn the waist. Punch. Banlan shui number 2. Goes to the point. Open. Touch. Banlan shui number 3. Like picking up the bucket, handing it to your opponent, cover the elbow, open, punch to the center. Rufum, Sudi, still facing west, brush, press, press, turn. Left hand foot, left hand right foot. Bao Hu Wei Shan. Embrace tiger, return to mountain. Bring the feet together. Step. Step to the square, facing south, palm press to the south, and then return to roll back. These are the same 8 movements we started with, so they appear the same form, connect the palms. Feet. Press. Push. Left. Right. Horizontal. Split. Here we have the Alsha. You can either do ballet's 5th position, you can do a Bagua hook step, turn, cover, spear fist to the center, pulse them, step back, press to the center, scoop with the front hand, turn and step back, press, scoop with the front hand, get to the inside, step back. From him, diagonal flying is 1, 2, 3. Needle at the bottom of the C. The right hand comes up and over. The left hand joins at the forearm. Transition into Feng Fu back. Step back. We're going to turn. In. Step, square, line to the grid. Lan is open. Square step. Turn the waist to punch. Head top up, looking forward. Sinking like a cone down to the center. Dibu Hua, full knee, change step. Return to deep breathing to roll back. Push. Look, left. Glance. Double press. Horizontal. Split hands. The out shows hook. Side whip, which means my feet parallel east-west, running in the line. This is cloud hands in the second section. 1A, B, 2, to left, 3, 3. Next is the owl show. So we have hook. Corner whip. Owl 10. Foot. Turn. 2. I put my foot on the north-south axis. Turning. And then top to east. Scoop. Brush. Press to the center. Press here. C-step. Press. This is brush knee. Straight step. Punch. And then from here we're going to shift. Hook step. Back. Cover. Block. Punch. Kick. Square step. Line. Line up your spine. Jump in. Breathe deep. Punch. This is so far. Left. Dali is big rollback. With your feet, keep your spine vertical. Embrace the title. And Dali, the other direction. Big rollback. Left foot steps behind the right. This is scoop the moon. From here, air phone, one air. 2 wings. Going in the air. We're stepping back. Pull, left side. Kick, left side. Turning, take 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. Pull, right side. Kick, right side. Block, catch, kick, on, sway, move on. Yes, we're going to continue to the third section. Take a deep breath. Turn one hand and one foot, the other hand, other foot. Embrace tiger. Return to mountain. Bring your feet together, T-step or hook step, square facing south, palm press to the center, breathe deep to press. Long breathing, this is push. Glance right. Schwung. Horizontal split hands from the corner to the other corner. Continue the line into hook. Side whip. My line is parallel north-south. This is wild horse shaking its mane. Square step. Left hip, left shoulder, sink. Right side covers, left side comes up through the center of the circle. Wild horse. Shaking. Breathe deep. Grip your feet. Join the palms. Keep your upper body round. Press to the center. Long breathing. Push. Look left. Horizontal split. Hook. Side whip parallel, east-west. This is Jade Lady working the wind, turning. Second corner, sometimes called four corners. Close, step, cross, turn. Left grasp the sparrow's tail. Press to the left side, step forward, left press forward. Long breathing, push. Left, glance right, double press. Horizontal splittings. This is corner whip. First snake creeping down, D long. Standing on the left foot, grip the left foot, breathe deep. Jinji the lead, toes pointing down. Grip the ground. Left side, toe points down. Breathe deep, left hand scoops. Press. Right hand scoops. Moves. Press. Left hand scoops. Steps. Press. Sherfei. Open to the side. Shoulder bump. Needle at the bottom of the C. Heavy. San Tong Bay. Fen Shen Pi Shen Chui block. Punch. Kick. Square step. Lan. Shui. Head top up, tailbone relaxed. Di Bu Hua. Shen Bu. Change step. The knee is roll back. So do the breathing. Stay grounded and focus. Push. Left. Right. Double press. Split. Hook. Side whip. This is cloud hands. Third section. 1 B 2 A 2 B 3 C. The owl shows hook. Corner whip. Keep turning the waist. Right hand covers. Left hand comes in from behind. Snake flashing its tongue. Turning 180. Pull right. Kick right. Cross kick. Brush low. Punch low. This is a half. Fold knees. Change step. Roll back. Press. Push. Left. Double press. Horizontal split. Hook. corner whip. I took a longer step because this is snake creeping down. You can do all this flashy stuff if you like. Stepping forward, step up to 7 stars. Turning 90 degrees to the north. This is Bahu, right, tiger. Turning. Baiyan, lotus kick. Bum bum surhu. Open the bow to shoot a tiger. Block. Punch. Kick. Square step. Long breathing. Focus power. Shui. Rhythm. Waist turn. Waist turn. Hands and feet moving together. Return tiger to mountain. Block. Punch right. Bring the left side back to the right side. Bring the hands together in center. Let's go back to what we're doing a second. Take a nice, comfortable stance. And then imagine you're holding something. And that the structure of that invisible something can actually support your arms. That means you can relax your shoulders and your arms. And then sometimes some teachers talk about things in sort of a yin-yang teaching of scattering, condensing the energy. Some teachers will say, imagine just one point at your belly button, right? Right in here. And then another teacher will say, imagine the energy goes to all over your whole body. What is the difference? This is the center. This is the center of your body. If you imagine it goes here, it goes to everywhere. And if you imagine it goes everywhere, it goes to here. So, just like the first exercise, like the blade of grass, relax your shoulders, your chest, your torso, like you can extend up through the center. And even if we don't want to feel like we're pushing too much externally, internally the energy is moving. When the energy's still, it's like the ocean when there's no waves. And when the energy's moving, it's like the ocean when there's a storm and you see the waves turning over. So the same way, you don't have to stretch or extend too much. You can feel the energy moving inside. So allow it to travel everywhere. And imagine it filling out gaps. Like we said, if there's an injury, you have tissue that's missing or damaged, the chi can fill, inflate, expand, allow the tissue that is there to heal, to grow, to regenerate. And this is internal and external. This goes for our internal organs. Insides of your bones. Take a deep breath. Just like when you sit, if you sit in a seated meditation, by the way, I recommend for everybody to sit in lotus. If you don't sit in lotus, it's probably one of the best things you can do for your legs. One of the best, it's just one of the best things you can do for your legs. If you can't do lotus, for those watching at home, look up half lotus, and I think there's one sometimes called pigeon, where the legs are just crossed on top of each other like this. There's no over-under. And I think there may be even another one, like a variation on butterfly, that's even simpler. But even if you can't do that, if you can sit with your legs straight, if you sit against the wall, or you sit in an L shape, right? So if I'm sitting down here, and put my legs flat, I don't recommend sitting directly on the floor. There's too much earth chi, get a carpet or something. But if you can't sit where you cross your legs, keep your legs straight and keep them together, because there's energy that does this thing. But when you stand up from meditation, when you stand up from seated meditation, you shouldn't go out and go for a run or get up and start doing some vigorous activity, some vigorous exercise. You should allow your body to recalibrate. And it's the same with Tai Chi. Once you get into the zone, you know your brain, your body, your energy is there. And when you stop, you should take a second to recalibrate your sense of meditation to the real world timing, and allow your energy to either settle back down or to normalize across the thing. So standing afterwards, sometimes even just going for a basic walk, circle walking a little bit, something. We're not going for a big walk. How are we doing for time? Wow, okay. Does anyone have thoughts, questions, comments? I do want to talk about some stuff with Taoism, but I feel I have something more practical that I think everyone can benefit from, because it's a common movement that we don't really talk about a lot, and it's the transition between Li and Ji. So if I face the camera that way, our first one is when we have this roll back here. When I'm turning back to the camera that way, the idea is my opponent is here, and yeah, it's stylized. We can talk about the differences between real martial arts roll back and something here. But we should be practicing with the yoga correct. So when we turn, as I start to turn back to the camera, while this may be my pressing hand, this other hand is playing an important role. And we can think of it as a bumper or a guard, right? So I'm actually going to get a stick. Need some. So. And I'm going to use this thing here. It's a little bit to the edge of camera, but it's fine. We're going to use that as my opponent. And let's say that's my opponent's center line. And I have opponent number one, I do roll back, and I turn to here. And as I dispatch this other opponent off to the side or to the back, another opponent appears. The idea is, even though I'm going to attack with my left hand, my right hand is my sensor, is my connector to the opponent. When we play push hands in Tai Chi boxing involves a skill called sticking, right? And it's considered a chi that you can develop, a power, a jing, where you've taken chi and you've cultivated into this power called jing. And in Mandarin it's called nian jing, sticking jing. And so the idea is, after I do my rollback, when I turn back, I'm already trying to sense my opponent with my elbow. I'm still facing that direction, but I know that guy's there, because as I do the rollback, I can see him stepping into the place. So as I turn back, my elbow's already sensing. It may be blocking for me. It may just feel, okay, his arms are somewhere else. He's got his hands up here or something, which means I may need to move it up. But if I can connect to his torso, its torso, when I turn, press. Right? So this is all one movement. After the rollback, G is still connected. And I'm turning to here, and then I have my press. Right? So the idea is, I don't want you to collapse your structure and then re-expand it. That we should have that feeling in the elbows, in the torso, like we're holding the ball the whole time. Even if I do rollback this way, if I take my arms from where I'm at here, this rollback, and put them up here and turn them, this one is round, and this one, all I have to do is turn the wrist here, it's round. Right? So we're still keeping, even though my hands may be out in this kind of weird type of shape, it's round. The shape of that yoga ball, the beach ball is there. Same thing with this one. It's round against the body. So when we do rollback, when we turn, even though I'm dispatching my opponent or the weight or the object, the obstacle, whatever it is, to the side, before I turn back, I'm not turning back like this. I'm turning back like this. And for those of you studying with Master Yun, the way he says is point your elbow at the opponent. I'm not teaching that. What I'm teaching is using, but it's the same. We're teaching the same thing in a slightly different way. I'm teaching use the the whole round surface of your arm. When I'm here, when I go to turn back, my opponent here. I can sense here with G and have that. It's a sensor. It's a force field, and it also can act as a defense for our opponent. So let's talk about the press that's inside G, right? Is if I'm facing this way and I'm here, my arm's making this circular shape just like I'm holding the ball, except here I close just a bit to press. This palm is pressing forward, and the power, we're pressing from the palm, right? Like you want to hit something. And so this is a G power. When we talk about G, it's like a hammer hit. When you have a nail and you have a hammer and you want to hit it, right? Hit the thing, squash it. It's a impact. So G in use has this kind of shocking, like a stickler. And its next door neighbor, on, has the opposite. You can almost think of it like a tuning fork. When you hit it, the activity happens for a long time, a long wave, right? So, on is the push, right? We're like a glacier. Glacier pushing something a couple centimeters every month, every year. Just moving just a little bit on. As opposed to hunting, what's the fastest animal is the mantis. I think it's mantis shrimp. I don't know, some kind of rainbow shrimp or something that can exceed the speed at which it boils the water around its pincers when it attacks. That's how fast it attacks. That's a G. That's a G power, right? It heats up the air around because it's moving so fast through the water to penetrate its opponent's shell. So this is a fast-acting power. In the form, we don't move like that. So what we do after we do the rollback is we turn back and we indicate the posture from which we would do it. We're doing it very slowly to condition our form and practice get our structure lined up the correct way that it should be. So this G press is here, and then we go into a push. We can do the fancy push, whatever. But I want you to stay round the whole time. So even in rolling, it may look like my arm's going here, but if we look, there's the same round shape. And then when I turn back, right, you can think of it, imagine you're holding any type of object. Like if you like orange, a big orange. If you like a grapefruit, regular sized grapefruit. But you can imagine something fantastic. Imagine you have a crystal ball or a chi ball, something that's not even tangible. So when we do the rollback, like you have that invisible shape, and you're always holding it between your elbows when we have to do this, because it essentially gives us that round shape. Later, we can turn this rollback into this press. I can do this press without having to connect my hands. But what I want you to know is on the turn back, on the 90-degree turn back, after the rollback, that upper arm, elbow, forearm, and back of the hand are sensing the opponent, right? I just continue to use this thing. If this is here, if I do rollback, when I turn back, I can sense. If I sense there's someone or something there, I can move and still come behind this and hit. Now, one of the concepts for press is that we can use our hand as a buffer for the opponent. So if you put your hand on your ribs and you take your other hand and hit it, you can still feel impact inside there, but you mostly feel it in your hand. Now take your hand away. Right? It's more painful without the hand. But with the hand there, if you hit it, you still feel an impact. It's right? You can do if you know where your spleen and your liver is, go over one side or the other, and then just hit it. And then try it without. Oh, it's too painful without. But with it there, you can hit it pretty hard. And internally, you can still feel it. This is a matter of choice for your opponent. When you deal with your opponent, in the Tai Chi form, this palm, the name for it in Mandarin is called Tai Chi, and it means warning palm or cautionary palm. It means like, hey buddy, that's your last. You got a soft one first, right? We don't Tai Chi is very logical, very progressive. We don't go from somebody, cuts us off or does something and, we go to break their skull or something like that. It's not like that. So even the first strike is considered cautionary. It's a warning call to the opponent. It's going to escalate. So having this other hand here allows us to choose. If we want to use that hammer impact just to bump the person away, we don't want to push them and send them flying halfway across the parking lot because they may fall down. It's very dangerous. But we want to bump them 2 feet away. We can use this same kind of pneumatic feeling, but we use the forearm in between as a buffer that doesn't give them that hammer impact when we place it against their ribs or their stomach or whatever part of their torso we connect to give them that shock, right? Or we can use the hand, which has a little bit less padding. Or once I turn this way, I can use my arm as a sensor and hit right above it. I don't have to hit inside that space, right? So Tai Chi is filled with many ideas for usage for boxing art. I just want you to remember while we're learning the form and we're practicing the form is keeping the round shape through here, right? If I roll my sleeve, is here, keeping this staying round. Don't allow this to collapse, come back here, and then press. That's weak. It's wimpy, and it's not expanded. So once we roll back, we should inflate to come back here for G to press, right? Both my arms pressing. That makes more sense. Because the meaning behind it, if you play push hangs, once you start to do multi-person exercise, you may deal with one opponent and somebody's coming back here. You can use this as a sensor. Oh, I need to block, strike. That's a G. You can still use the same technique. But it has to be round. If I roll back and come back here, there's no bumper between me and the opponent. This is my bumper. This is my defense, is this space. And so we can use this round. Is it time? We gotta go. It's been hard. We'll close up in a second. You can use this round shape as an idea for pretty much every posture in the form. Let's look at cloud hands. And imagine if you're in a crowd of people and you like to navigate through the crowd, you can put your hands forward and sort of swim like a fish. But if you just stand like this, you just get squashed by the crowd. So if you put your arms out and allow them to be flexible so that people can bump in, but they can't actually get into your space. So if we look at cloud hands, if I'm turning on the right side, I still have this round structure here when I turn to press. And then the same thing on this side. As I turn, this one is round, and this one in transition to being round, here, step, press. And then they both staying round. I don't want this one to close off and pinch. I want it to feel like it's expanded, like it's around the yoga ball, around the beach ball. And then turn. And the same thing when I stretch, I don't want it to be too straight. It only ever reaches the Tai Chi extreme, which is with the curvature in place, right? Like a rubber band, if we pull it actually straight, there's a chance for it to settle. So with something like cloud hands, I can carry something, right? If I have an object and I need to protect it. I have my bag of groceries and there's people on the street that are protesting something and I don't really care. I can turn this way and turn. I can, right, carry the object going left and right. And this side, even though this hand is free, if I'm using that round idea, I can run into things can run into me, and because I only need as much force to keep my arm away from my body as my body already has anyway, they can't actually, even if 5 of them pushing, they may push me back, but they won't squash my groceries or whatever this important object is that I'm carrying. So this round space, this is your self-defense. When we use this kind of standing, you can use this as a meditation for, this is your space. And once anybody reaches into your space, into your center, if their hands, elbows, feet, weapons, that means that their center is exposed. And so from here, it doesn't take much. So all we have to do is protect our space. It may become smaller. When you go to the concert, there's a lot of people around. something like this, we can use this idea, the inner space. And this also making our Tai Chi form very good. We should always feel when we do cleaning. If I come back to the center for cleaning, I will my hands, turn my wrists, guess what? Questions, thoughts, comments? Let's do a little bit of breathing to close. In fact, we're going to do something from the Tai Chi form, is stepping to one side and practicing Jinji Bu Li. And then changing. Hit the ground. And with this exercise, I want you to focus on the breathing. You can focus on your posture, but I want you to focus on the mindset of Jinji Bu Li, the meta aspect of it. And the names are important. So Golden Rooster gives it a quality, golden quality. You don't have to be a rooster. You can imagine any type of bird that you like. But don't be, if you like to imagine the crane or the egret or the stork or the heron, don't imagine the tinfoil. Do golden crane. Do golden rooster. Don't do aluminum foil chicken. So the same feeling on the inside. Hit the ground, breathing deep. Half the energy is sinking into the earth, the other half is floating up. The bottom part is sinking. The top half is floating. And then we subdivide. In the bottom half, the one side is rising, the other side is sinking. Point your toe to the ground. Just a little bit of power is all it takes. It's just a few ounces of tipping on the toes. And the same thing with the upper body. One side, the energy is going up. The other side, the energy is going down. Do you remember which side you started with? Do a few more. Balance out. Finish on the opposite side. Once you finish, bring your feet together. Bring your hands together in the center. Close your eyes some way. You can leave them open at least 1%. And move your mind into the Dantian. Taking a second to smile to yourself. Take a deep breath. And then internally take a second to give thanks to yourself. Take a second to give thanks for yourself. Take a second to give thanks about yourself. Smiling to the inside, take one long, last deep breath. And that's it. Call, email, write if you have questions.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Next time, can we go over the 3 steps where, the long version, the Banlan Shui, and the more we just do the first section? Yeah, because we haven't practiced that since we had classes outdoors. I feel like I have more space here, and where I'm practicing, I have more space. So I've been doing the long form. So, for yourself, anybody else that has been confused by that, we'll cover that. It's fairly simple. There's 2 brush knees and 2 extra Banlan Shuis in the first section. Once you learn it, you'll see where it changes from right side to the left, which is where I get confused. Yeah. Okay. We'll do it. We'll get it figured out. Thank you. All right. Yeah. Thanks. I'll see you next time. Thank you.